Hello. Before the introductions, just a little bit about the NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. Some of you may know this, but for the others, it's a month of writing and supporting each other. There are lots of groups. It's a challenge to write 50,000 words in November. The prize is completion. And the style is, it's a supportive group work, well, in the sense of like getting together once a week and sharing what works, what doesn't. But this month is, if you get onto the challenge, write. No editing, no revising. If you have a story in your mind, this is the way to start. For some, it may not work for you, but what we are doing is that on Thursdays, first one is next week, 30 minutes, we get together just to check in. How is it going? Can we do something better? If someone is doing really great, we also celebrate it. And then we meet again the week after. Completion is the price. You may come to 45,000 words. Wow, that's still great, right? You achieve it. We make a big shout out to that. You may write half of it. It's still a start, but the big challenge is here to support each other. And we meet weekly to write 50,000 words of our novel.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Asia Nunez, and I'm the director of Level Up workshops here at PACE, which is the event you're at right now. And it's my pleasure to introduce Gulcan and Sabrina tonight. Gulcan is a passionate entrepreneur, and she believes there is no better time than now to write and publish the dream book. She's had a worldwide residence ranging from Germany to Turkey, Canada, the United Kingdom, and now the United States. She spent much of her adult life in bustling London and holds an MBA from Warwick Business School in the UK. G.T. London, a published author, provides her dedication to the craft by writing and publishing her debut novel, Second Chances and Then Some, in 9 months. Her next novel will be released in February 2024. Venturing into the realm of the self-publishing business, she finds joy in writing from around the globe while bringing her books to life. She writes contemporary fiction with a blend of romance, action, twists, and some suspense. Her novels are packed with big secrets and family dramas. She now lives in Hawaii with her author husband and partner in adventure, Jason. And Sabrina, my fellow peer, grew up in Honolulu, Hawaii with an adoration for words and colors. When she isn't jotting down little glimpses of her day or detailing her nostalgia-speckled memories, she's often stirring up new flavors for her winemaking or spontaneously chopping off all of her hair in the bathroom. Her best friend is her older sister, and she spends the day dreaming of exploring the world with her and making iced coffee in all sorts of different countries. Her first published book, a collection of almost maybes and ex-somethings, follows the journey of her teen years as she learns how to love, how to lose, and how to love again. Sabrina is a member of the PACE Leaders Program, where she's part of the ambassador team. She also holds the position of president within the Innovators of Fashion Club at UH Manoa. Outside of her academic pursuits, she also works as a private tutor and a personal assistant. Please give them a hand.
Thank you. And presentation is the next one. Here. Uh-oh. Well, I'll start. Well, delighted to be here. I am echoing. Delighted? Delighted to be here. Thank you for the invitation. It's just great seeing so many of you on a talk that we have about writing and publishing. We bring 2 different perspectives, very different journeys, yet a similar outcome. We are both published authors. And before we start, could you raise your hands that if you have a story in your mind, you've written anywhere, somewhere on a paper or in your computer, can I just see that if you have a story already? A few of you, great. And anyone raise of hands, please, that has a full completed story, a manuscript. Fabulous, a few, great. And anyone published those stories? Great. Some, maybe. And yes, that's really great to hear. Hopefully these numbers will be higher at the end of this session, or at the end of November, that we will have more of you, more stories on the paper, and books published that we promise that we will get them and read them, right? So really looking forward to that. Before we dive into the 5 key tips, and we really want to share some tangible tips here, we just would like to take a moment and share briefly our writing and publishing journey. So Sabrina, when did you start and how was your experience?
Is this on? Okay. Hello, I am Sabrina. I am 21 years old. I have always loved writing ever since I was really young. In elementary school, I'd be writing stories. I actually remember in preschool, I would like tell my mom stories and she would write them down for me. But it wasn't until maybe like late middle school where I started having the idea that I'm going to publish a book before I graduate high school. And I got this idea stuck in my head, but I never really worked too much on it because I was really caught up with the idea that writing a book meant I had to write a full novel. And so I held off on it and I just wrote little pieces, bits and here and there. And it wasn't until I was 17 years old and about to graduate high school when I decided I'm going to write a book. And so I self-published my book, a collection of almost maybes and X somethings, in February 2020. And some of you might have that here in front of you, and some of you might buy it at the end of this. There will be a QR code. And yeah, that's the story of how I started writing. How about you, Gulcan?
Well, knowing that how hard it can be to publish a book, I have to say, 17, wow. So I started October last year. I wrote down my 2 first words. What do you think they were? Of my book, that. Chapter 1. Right? It was beginning of October. Well, in fact, it was 17th of October. And then I wrote my first draft. I set myself a word count, like we would do for the November one. I said 55,000 for different reasons. And in 4 weeks, I wrote my first draft. Did it really make any sense? Was there a story? Probably not. It changed so much. I can tell you that in 4 weeks, but I did have a 55,000 words book. And it is printed. I love it. It's on my shelf as a printed format in a file. And I continued editing, some more editing. And by July, it was ready to be published. And I worked with editors too, because I looked at it like, if I was going with the traditional publishing route, what would I do? Work with editors, work with professionals. So I did get editors, and I am still working with them. It took a few weeks to also get the book ready. So 30th of August, this book was released. So it's 2 months old. It's my book baby. 2 months old book baby. But while I was writing, I have made a decision. I said, this is it. I want to approach this, nurturing it like a startup. I don't want to be an author with one book. I want this as a career. I loved it. Although I did not know that I could write fiction, which I will share also. So hence, rather than going the traditional route, I self-published. So the book baby also became my product, which has to go that way if you're actually running it as a business. So let's dive into the key tips for aspiring authors, that we will share our journeys, what worked for us, what didn't, what almost killed us, right? So we will start with the author mindset, right?
This was us.
Oh, yes.
Should have turned that sooner, but here we are. So these are just some of the key tips that we're going to be going through. There are 5 that we've outlined. The first one being embracing the author mindset, then finding resources and knowledge that's accessible to you, different tools and techniques that you can use to create your book, how to connect with the writing community and what our journeys doing that was, and becoming an authorpreneur or an author entrepreneur. So we'd like to start off with talking about a few of the common obstacles that are in the way when you begin writing, or honestly, if you begin any kind of creative journey like this. Some of them being having other time commitments, not wanting your name to be made public and tied to a piece of work, not knowing how or when or what to do in the beginning, how to start. So I thought that I would talk a little bit about how I started. My biggest obstacle to writing a collection was imposter syndrome and like crushing imposter syndrome. For the longest time, like I said, I thought that writing a book meant I had to write a novel. And it wasn't until I remember the day exactly, it was January 2nd, 2020. I was sitting on the floor in my room, nothing exciting, but I did suddenly realize not all books are novels. And I don't know why this was a revelation to me because I have read non-novel books. But all of a sudden it came to mind that I could create the book that I had always dreamed of, but it just could be a blend of things that I already had. It could be poetry that I've been writing throughout the years, short stories, just little musings that I've collected and written down. And there's some newer ones that I wrote for the book. And so within 1 month, I put all of that together. I wrote, I compiled it, I worked on the formatting and everything. And suddenly I had a little book and it was my baby. There was a whole slew of criticism that I would tell myself as I went through it, namely that I didn't deserve to be called an author, especially because my book is so small, it's really short. I was thinking, oh, it's just your notes app poetry. That doesn't count as real poetry or real writing. I'm sure, do we have any notes app poets in here? Don't lie to me. There's more of you. And I was really stuck with that for a long time. So I didn't really call myself an author. I didn't make it a super big thing, even though deep down I was really proud of it. And I did end up accomplishing my dream of publishing it before I graduated high school. And it went a lot better than I thought it would. A lot of the times I think we tell ourselves, especially in any kind of creative field, that our work, there's someone that's still better than us, which is always going to be true no matter what you do in any sphere. But finally I published it and I had really, really nice feedback from all of my classmates, from my friends, from my teachers. And from there, I just kept writing. Would you like to tell us how you overcame your obstacles?
Thank you, Sabrina. What a journey. I also had a long list, very long list. I thought one day I would write a book, but that would have to be nonfiction because that's my background. I am a data person. I have a math background. I work as a business consultant and all those things. And who could ever write a fiction novel? I am not a native speaker. I don't have time. I'm very busy with my contract. I mean, it's a long, 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 long list. So I will share 3 aha moments in what's happened last October. I went to a 4-day seminar by Robert McKee. I actually brought the book, his book. It's over there as an example, just for you to have a look. And I have all his books. And it was his last live seminar. He's kind of the guru in terms of story structure, character development. He works with screenwriters of Hollywood. And I went for fun with my author husband. He was going and I thought, yeah, something different. And, I will write one day nonfiction, so I'll go. The aha moment was when I realized there is a structure to it. I don't have to wake up or born with that creativity that, some people do have that gift. I don't. But there's a structure to it. There is a way to understand the story arc. There's even a form to it. Not a formula. I'm not saying a formula. There's a form to it. If we actually go back to all the movies and great stories, Harry Potter, Star Wars, Casablanca from 40s, they follow a form. Once I started learning that, and I love learning, I'm a continuous improvement expert, right? So suddenly everything was like, oh, I can write a fiction book. And I love reading. I always admired fiction writers. But I think the fear kept me ever saying, I actually want to write a book. And that was my biggest aha moment, that if I put enough time into this and learn and practice, and also realizing that book already had, I think, 3 editors, me possibly going 10 times over it, 1 proofreader. What I was comparing myself with my, like, whether I would ever write a book, a fiction novel. So that was the first one. I can learn this and practice. So tenacity over talent. I'm not saying talent has nothing to do with it, but it can come with practice. So that was one. Secondly, my pen name, you may wonder. Many fiction writers, Stephen King started with a pen name. Why do they go with a pen name? Many different reasons. Some don't even they actually differentiate their pen name. No one knows that that's actually the author who's also that person. I don't. My name, Gulcan Telci, is at the back of my book. But my name, I love my name, is Gulcan Telci, but it's constantly mispronounced, constantly misspelled. But I wanted someone to see my book at an airport, go home and Google me. Gulcan Telci, they're not going to do that, are they? They'll, remembering the letters. So I said, okay, come up. It's like a stage name. I'm now a creative person. Why can't I give myself a stage name? And that's it. GT is my initials. It could be gin and tonic, which I have to do in part of the editing, but so, and London is a city that I have such a passion with, because it's my city. So GT London came about. I love it. People love it. I sometimes forget that I'm actually called Gulcan Telci. I really love GT London. So if you don't want to put your name out there, come up with a beautiful pen name. Don't make that to hold you publishing a book. I don't think it would hold you to write a book, but possibly publishing a book. So the third one is, could be, yes. So this is a huge journey. It's personal. It's hard. I celebrate. I make a big deal out of it. All my friends and family, I complete 10,000 words. Everybody knows. I make sure everybody does. It's so hard. It's lonely. I sit in front of that computer by myself for hours and hours. I want recognition. I want hugs. I want celebration. So I really do make the big thing. Whether it's your first word, first draft, fifth edit, whatever it is, please just celebrate. And it's a big accomplishment. And each one gets better and better. I did put here first 1-star review. Or rating, actually. So why would I celebrate that? Because the suspense was killing me, because I was going to get one, right? Because every author does. So now I have one, cried over it, maybe not, and it's done. It's there. It's not a review, it's a rate. But still, just celebrate the journey, and each one will have to get better. We did say the book 2 is February 2024, but things, you see, are in the way. So it will be actually March. But I know I love this book. I know second one will be even better, because I feel freer. I can include things that is actually not holding me back as a person. So that's the autumn mindset. I suppose we could take some questions, perhaps, if you have any questions.
Feel like they don't have enough time to write, especially during something like NaNoWriMo, which is very much a crunch time sort of project, an intense month. What do you suggest?
So that's the reason earlier I did say that you may achieve half of it. I think having the focus, we may have to put something that is okay to push it into December, but really have the prioritizing. And apart from that, really, apart from the time management, that I really don't have any suggestions, because it does take time. So you are absolutely right. But are there things that if my friends know that I am writing, I will tell them, could you, and I do that part of the editing, saying that the next 2 weeks, I will say no if you ask me. So I can't, I will come to you, please, but I don't want to feel down that I'm actually, declining an offer of going out. So apart from those ones, absolutely. But it shouldn't, the November, that challenge shouldn't be a burning out. Definitely not. But a focused, supportive environment.
I think also anything that you can write, you should celebrate. Throughout middle school and high school, I had English teachers that would always have us do 5-minute journals at the beginning of every English class, and we had to hit at least 200 words each time. And 200 words doesn't seem like much, especially in the wake of NaNoWriMo, where you see that 50,000 number on the screen. But if you can get 200 words every day just from 5 minutes, you could be eating your breakfast, anything. It's really quick to like fit in something where you just force yourself to write. It doesn't have to be the best. It doesn't have to make it into the manuscript, none of that. As long as you are in it, I think it really can help with your whole writing journey.
Absolutely. Walking on the beach, we are living in this incredible environment that when I feel stuck, I walk out. It's never, ever. My process is actually becoming something that is, yes, it is challenging, but when it becomes that I'm actually getting stressed, I leave it and I walk. In terms of the story and the character, the more we learn, the easier actually it gets. As I said earlier, it's practicing, it's continuously learning what a story means, editing, using certain, whether it's visual or whatever works for your unique strengths to make this process enjoyable, because it is challenging and it should never ever be a hard feeling challenged by that I'm not actually creative enough. Also, this thing about being with other writers. So on that week, perhaps when we get together, we may have questions saying that I'm actually stuck here. What do you think? Because depends on the genre, depends on, there are forms, but we do get sometimes like, I don't know, what's the next step? Brainstorming. So these are the ones, but I definitely close it and walk and say, you still done good. Don't feel bad, because I do, we all do, right? We just say, no, it's not just working. As soon as I get that now, I know it's not the right time to write. Then I will have this thing called writer's block, apparently, which I don't think there is such a thing. There are reasons, but not necessarily how it's been portrayed to us.
I think I would really agree with what you said about tenacity over talent. I fall into writer's block, but I do consider that a thing. I think a lot of the times when I listen to music, I'll get a lot of inspiration, or if I read other books, that's where I'll draw a lot from. Sometimes it's as simple as like taking a picture outside and kind of like forcing yourself to do like creative writing exercises based off of those kinds of things, because I think a lot of the times it's extremely daunting to just look at the blank page and be like, ooh, where am I supposed to pull this out of? So I think using those little things, like she said, walking, going outside, taking pictures, listening to music, all of that, it's fine to use like stepping stones to your creativity.
We'll move on. So part of the creativity, you can see that my post-it notes, this is in the bedroom on a white board. Access on knowledge and resources. We were talking about this earlier also, that I thought I was starting a journey that like a complete new beginner. And a beginner's mind is amazing, right? You take things as a sponge, it's great. So I came back from the seminar and I'm like, oh, I'm writing a novel. So this is just like a world that everything is so new. While I was writing, I noticed that I was using post-it notes on the wall. And while I was writing, I was like, oh, this is not working. So it's kind of like from my process, I should remove this. It's a waste. So I should make it lean. I'm a Lean Six Sigma expert. I really did not plan to bring Lean Six Sigma in my process. It just comes when you actually let the flow to guide you. It really did come. Part of the finding the time, again, I work close with project management and little plans like plan, do, study, act. Is this working? I definitely had, again, part of my editing, and I keep going back to the editing, because writing the first thing is one thing, editing is something else. So just in brief, this is an example of like, I was putting my skill sets from a completely different professional background into my writing that I never thought I would do. So I am pretty sure that you all have many of these, that it will guide you when you let it. So because you contain multitudes, you have it in you, we just need to let it guide you. That's part of the accessing the
Gulcan, for those that don't know, would you like to give a really quick explanation of what Lean Six Sigma is?
Sure. It's a process improvement philosophy, I suppose. It started in manufacturing, and it is about looking at the whole process and removing, very, very simply putting in that, just removing any waste within the process. And I apply that with the executives at the hospital. So we would look from the moment a patient would come into whichever environment to the discharge, and we would actually look at it that what we do that is not adding any value to the patient's journey. So in terms of applying here, I was looking at that, I was doing maybe something specific that was like, it's not making me moving forward. Should I really have this as a step in my process? No, that's what you do to take it out. There are different levels, and as I said, it came from manufacturing, and it's into many, many industries at the moment. So in brief, thank you. Using available tools and techniques. I use a software that is particularly designed for authors, writers. It's called Scrivener. I don't know whether anyone heard of Scrivener or using it yet. So it's just easier for me to organize files and move the chapters around. And I like working with targets. Again, my background. I can set daily targets, word ones, and I can put photos in it. But there are so many of them. Again, there's no one better way. Scrivener really works for me after I tried a few of them. I also know, Sabrina, what you're...
To write my book, I did not use any fancy software. I used my Notes app, and I also use Google Docs. But like I was saying, it doesn't have to be fancy. For example, my cover design, that was actually my screen printing project for my art class senior year. And so I hand drew that, and then I just scanned it into the computer, and I literally added the colors in Google Draw. So it was all very free because I didn't want to spend money on this. I was only 17. I did not have money, and it works. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be super fancy. There's a lot of subscription services out there or things that you can buy, and you don't need those premium things. The most important thing is that you're writing, is that you're putting your writing out there. Yeah, it doesn't have to be fancy.
Absolutely. Again, whatever works for your unique skill set, whatever makes you flow. I did put here Save the Cat because this was my structure that actually made me realize that there is a structure to storytelling, and it worked for me. And guess why it worked for me? Because you set a word count, and then 5%, around 5%, something like this happens to the protagonist, and 10%, it's data, right? So data that I thought would never ever be part of my fiction writing, story writing journey suddenly is a lot into it. And we did include in the handout a bit of how the Save the Cat works to structure a story. Again, I'm not saying this is the best, because some authors really hate this. It worked for me. And we just shared it in the handout. Have a look. I also brought the book, Save the Cat Writes a Novel, just for you to have a look. It might work, it might not. You might find something else.
Yeah, I think finding what works for you. For someone like me, I'm very touchy-feely and I'm not super data-driven. And so I would probably not like this software, but it really works for Gulcan and it might work for you.
Questions? Oh, Grammarly. Okay, so Grammarly, and there is another one, I think, Pro Writing Aid. I have both of them. Before I send it to the editor, I run my manuscript on Grammarly because I want my editor to get to the best version. It's already not the best version. So I do, and I learn a lot because Grammarly, by the way, Grammarly makes silly mistakes. Sometimes it just suggests things to you, and I'm like, okay, hello, But 80% of the times, and I set certain aspects, and I do run Grammarly on my manuscript before I share it because I feel better. It is, and also it's a learning curve. I am learning a lot too by doing it a little bit. Yeah. And I think it's free, right? A certain aspect is free. The software Grammarly, yeah. Okay, okay. Great, thank you. Any other questions? ChatGPT. Okay, here we go. ChatGPT is amazing because, example, I am writing my second novel. I needed to find names of people who would be born in 1970 who are originally from Hawaii. I have no idea. So those prompts are incredible. In terms of names, places, kind of like a little brainstorming. In terms of not using it, or using for editing, that's a choice thing, but I definitely use it for information rather than searching on Google. You know, I just say, give me 20 names, just the immediate one that I can think of because of the names, or even a place that I come up with a fiction town, but I want to feel certain aspects of it. So things like that, it's really great. But if ChatGPT is used completely to create the story, that's a completely different journey. Whether you can publish it, I know Amazon now is asking whether it's created by AI or not. That's a completely different conversation. But I don't. But I use it for brainstorming. Yes.
Would you say it's smart to draw stuff from your own hometown, your own culture, even though there are aspects that people don't necessarily know about?
I think so. I think it's easiest to write about what you know, obviously. Maybe not write about yourself. People tend to have trouble writing about themselves. But I would say yes. And especially if it's something like, well, because I spoke to you, something like fantasy, I think you really can like imbue it with your own experiences, your own like cultural aspects. And it doesn't really need to be like, oh, I took this from this culture and I took that from this culture. But I think it shows in a way that creates a lot of depth in your writing, and it creates a lot of sincerity because you're writing exactly what you know and it comes across as really genuine.
Like to add on that, it actually makes it easier to, my first novel sits in London. Did I have to do any research on London? Not at all. Then I put all my town into creating the characters, the story, because the physical place, I mean, the place has to be, you need to know it so well, whether you're creating it fictional, you're fictionalizing it, or it's a place that you already know. So it actually does make it, yes, the depth of it, but it also helps you to use it. Hey, this is an interesting one. I just love this. The rising tide lifts all boats. So again, living in Hawaii, right? So I don't think there is any other industry, maybe there are, I don't know. This writing community, this is just incredibly applicable, because if another author is selling a book that is my comparable author, because we don't actually say competitors, because if it's a comparable author, that reader will buy my book. It is actually quite fascinating, and I didn't realize this at the beginning also. Once you know your genre, once you know your comparable authors, the support you get on my social media that I don't even know them, and suddenly someone shares like, hey, look, the book is out. I'm like, who are you? And this is another author. You know, and like, aren't you a competitor? No, you actually support each other, and for them to do better, you also do better, because the readers, it's a never-ending process, right? I read all the time. It's not a product that you buy once and say like, yeah, I'm settled with that. You buy the next book. So in that sense, I would say that it's a very, very supportive community. But at the same time, I'm going to a conference in a couple of weeks. I went to a retreat. I don't think it was really for me, but I do learn from success stories. I connect with people and look for local events and share experiences. So again, whatever works for you, look for support and help. And it's okay to ask because it's a big deal. Being a writer is a big deal and everybody will support you. What was your experience like?
My experience was absolutely different. I did not go to any conferences or retreats or clubs. Since I did publish my book while I was in high school, I had the benefit of being surrounded by my classmates and my friends and my teachers that knew about it. For the most part, I wrote my book very independently and very quietly, and I didn't tell anyone that I was doing it, and I just did it. And then all of a sudden, I showed up to school and I told my friends I wrote a book, and they were all like, "What?" But the support I received from my classmates, so many of them went and bought the book, and like not even like my close friends, but like in math class, they heard me talking about it. They were like, "What? I want to see it." And they pulled it up on Amazon. And I actually had a lot of teachers that bought it too. Not just my English teachers, which I kind of expected because they like coached me throughout a lot of my journey, but my math teacher bought it, my art teacher bought it, and they were so excited about it, and they all had me like sign it, and it was just really, really nice. And also with just working on the writing and the workshopping and stuff, I was blessed with having really good English teachers throughout my whole school experience. And my senior year English teacher, he was really, really good, and he pushed me a lot, sometimes more so than I wanted to be pushed. And I remember one time we had an in-class assignment where we had to draft something. It was like a little rough draft. We had to turn it in by the end of class. And I'm not like a huge, like, here's my rough draft, you edit it, I'll give you the final. I'm very much an edit as I go person, which I know is not recommended, but I need it to be perfect as I'm writing it. So I already was not having a good time with this assignment. And also because he only gave us like 40 minutes to do it and we had to turn it in, and I hated my draft. I don't remember what it was about, but I remember I knew it was bad and it was embarrassing for me to turn in that paper to him. I remember kind of being like, here. And he graded everybody's, like left comments and stuff. And pretty much everyone in my class got like A's and B's on it with a lot of comments on how to adjust it and everything. And I'm not saying that I was the best writer in my class, but I will say I put a lot more effort into it than many other people. And I cared about writing a lot more than other people. And when he gave me mine back, he was like, I know you can do better than this. And I flipped it over and he gave me a D on it. And I didn't get D's. I did not get D's on any assignments, much less writing assignments, which was like my strong suit and my pride and joy. And so that really humbled me. But I also knew that I deserved that grade. It was a bad piece that I gave him. And not that it was the worst based off of his rubric that he had. And, I didn't meet all the points, but just because he knew that it was bad for me and he knew that I could do a lot better than that. And so even though it was quite humiliating to be frank, I really appreciate that he did that for me. And he was one of those people that like held me to it and held me to reaching my own potential that he knew I could reach. And he's a big reason why I have a book at all and why I like writing so much. So I think like community can also be in that sense, especially since a lot of us are students here, finding that in your English professors or even just your friends that are also into writing and stuff like that.
Thank you. Any questions on this particular aspect? Yes.
Probably very cliche, but something that I kind of discovered from reading and writing is that there's like a code where you don't steal another one person's work and copy it as your own. If that does happen, what do you guys recommend?
If someone steals your work,
So
I don't know.
As soon as I finish my book, I register it with the copyright. Yes, so absolutely. You do anything and everything to protect your work. Name, even pen names can be replicated, even titles, but not your content. And it's a pretty, I don't know, it's like an hour process of answering lots of questions, and so you kind of, and before it's actually published, I do that. And I have a kind of reminder for my book too. Before I say publish, I do this first in terms of the copywriting. Absolutely, because this is the online world, right? And it happens. You have to, fight sometimes. And I know other authors gone through really, really actually horrible experiences that it is their book, but because they didn't have the copyright and all that. But yes, there are ways of protecting as much as possible, I suppose. Particularly if you are on an exclusive deal with a platform, then it is even more so important because you can be kicked out by even some pirate sites, just to be able to show that it is yours. In fact, actually, could we go back to the data on that one? It is nicely connecting. Oh, are they? Okay. So I did have some data of what the book done in the last 2 months, showing what countries actually I have readers. I can just share with you. Wanted to show you the Amazon graphs. They are very user friendly. I think I have 185 books sold.
186.
86.
I do believe it was 186 as of
86,
Monday.
Thank you, as of Monday. But I also had almost 40,000 page reads, which is the Kindle Unlimited. I don't know whether you know the Kindle Unlimited, which is like the Netflix membership program. Those numbers, in total, it makes maybe over 300 because I also had family friends buying directly from me. It's not huge, but it is enormous for me. For the first book, I'm not known as an author. What do? I treat it as a business. So yes, it's a book, baby. Oh my God, I just love it. But it's a product too. I have to remind myself constantly, this is a business. This is a business too. My passion into the story and writing, I'll keep that. But I will also continue nurturing this as a business. So I had the graphs, but it's not included here. But it's done well for the first 2 months. But in terms of marketing, and we'll go on to running this as an entrepreneur or an author entrepreneur, the best marketing that is known is to write book 2. Not necessarily spam ads, and because again, credibility, people just want to know if they like the book, they want to read another one of that style. If it's only one book, yes, you will do some well, but if you show that you're serious and you have second book, third one, a series, that's the best way to market at the moment, as well as, of course, a little bit of social media and engagement and understanding what the readers are looking for. So that's kind of, I think, our next one, running it as a storytelling entrepreneur. Yes.
I type almost all of it. Some of it was handwritten. I only do like voice typing for long school essays where they're really monotonous and I'm sick of typing them out. But for all of my poetry and things like that, I like to type it. I'm very much like I want to feel the word kind of person. Yeah.
I also type, but I do know someone, an author who actually does the voice recognition because they walk a lot with the dog, and it's a time that they really want to use and utilize, and hence, and it works for them. But I type too, less on handwriting, but even part of like this is book 2, and this is, I call it a what do I call it? Blueprint. So each chapter here is summarized into 1 or 2 or 3 sentences, just to show me, illustrate that what the story looks like, and it allows me to put the timeline a little better. So it's not always a big manuscript in your hand. If you don't have a photographic memory, have a look, because this is book 2, because it will spoil for you otherwise. But yes, how many chapters and how many words, and so it's just using different formats, I suppose, but it is all typing, and I use Scrivener. All right. In terms of running this as a business, as at the introduction, it's been said that I believe there is no better time than now to start writing. Self-publishing, there is no better time than now to start publishing. Why are you not? Get a pen name or use your own name, publish it. It is that simple. I have a company, LLC. I also operate as a publisher. It's on whether you like Amazon or not, but it's providing you a platform. I have, if we had the data, I have readers in Brazil and Japan, and I've never been. I don't know how to get to them, but it's Amazon's customers, so they actually get to your book. So in terms of publishing, yes, you have to work maybe with a cover designer, or you do it on Canva. I don't know, if you can actually do one. So running it as a product, what it does require, working with editors or a cover design and uploading it. It is that simple. It doesn't cost it to upload on Amazon, but there is upfront cost if you're working with, of course, cover designers and the rest. And then it gets printed on demand. I'm pretty sure most of you know this. So the reader wants to buy it. I don't pay anything. Amazon prints it, gives me my royalty, and then sends the book to the reader. And it sold almost 300 in 2 months. That's not bad, right?
Yeah. And Amazon is really user-friendly to start out. That's also how I self-published mine. And like I mentioned, I had the idea to write a book in January, and I wrote it by February and had it published by February 9th, 2020. It's super duper user-friendly. It walks you through each step of the process. Like, there's instructions on everything. Nothing's too difficult. You can literally upload a PDF if you want it to be a PDF form. So they make it very simple for you to do. If I could figure it out as a 17-year-old doing this in her free time, you will be able to do it very quickly.
Art of possible. Any question? Thank you.
Well, they don't tell you like, nah, your book sucks. We're not gonna make that one. Since it is all print on demand, once it like processes, you're good. You're in. You have a self-published book. And that way they don't waste any money on it, because it's only once somebody orders it, they will go print it for you and send it to them. Yeah.
And in terms of working with Amazon, as I mentioned, my husband is a much established author, still self-publishing. So I was getting a little upset here and emotional there with Amazon and saying, why do they ask this and why do they do this? And then he just said to me, like, just think of it. It is for their benefit too. It's not necessarily they are your publisher, they're your partner. They're using your content. So whatever they are saying, because it was about like, I wanted my book to be in one category and they removed it to somewhere else, and said, like, do you really think that we know better than them? Right? And then I was like, okay, because the more they sell, they get the part, right? So it's not about actually fighting with them. And since then I was like, okay, yes, let's do this. And then suddenly someone in Brazil gets it. So because they know that reader, I don't. So in that sense also that just to see it as a partner and doing the self-publishing, because it's a huge platform.
I think it's also important to mention, if you do self-publish through Amazon, it's exclusive to Amazon. You cannot go to Barnes and Nobles and take your book there and be like, will you sell this for me? It's Amazon's. And
if it's a Kindle version,
yes.
So if it's a paperback, my books are also in Barnes and Noble. But the electronic version, which I was saying that it's almost 40,000 pages that people are reading, that's the exclusivity. And I'm fine with it. I am not a big author yet to be able to say that I will go to my readers directly. I'm saying to Amazon, yeah, take me to them. And you have the exclusivity, so we both win. So I suppose this is this thing about win-win, right? And the reader wins, so it's maybe like 3 wins, right? It's okay.
That's probably a stupid question.
No such a thing.
What do you get in return for publishing your book?
When people buy it, you do get a percentage of the price that you choose for your book. So you get royalties, and then for your Kindle books, you get royalties based on how many pages are read. And it comes out of, if your book is in Kindle Unlimited, it comes out of this big global monthly fund where it's based off of subscriptions, right? People's subscriptions to Kindle Unlimited. So they pool all that money and they tell you, oh, this month Kindle Unlimited Global Fund is $47 million or whatever. And that's where your percentage of royalties come from for every author that publishes on Kindle Unlimited. Yeah. Direct deposit? No?
A direct deposit,
Yeah, direct
in
deposit.
2 months. Every
Oh
month,
yeah,
but
it's not instant.
not
Sorry.
instant, but
You
yes,
gotta
once
wait.
it starts, then it actually it comes actually also from different countries in different currencies, but of course it turns into US dollar. But it's kind of cool to see that I have, little bits maybe, but whoever bought from Brazil, Japan, and all this, and it comes from Australia. So you just have all these deposits in your account.
Determine the price of your own book.
Yes. Lots of here we go. Lots of research, lots of marketing, comparing with other books, page runs, and also Amazon also again guides you, or whether you call it dictates you, but I go with guides, right? So per number of pages. So if you go, for instance, my book is $13.99. If I say 25, it doesn't actually let you. And if you want that 70% of the royalty after all the costs are out, there is a bracket. It's actually, again, as Sabrina was saying, it's making it very easy. It says, typically, your book of this many pages will be between $9.99 to $15.99. So then you pick your price within that bracket. Yes, but at the same time, of course, it really depends on the genre that you're writing to. That I know the comparable authors, what they are charging, whether they are self-publishing or traditional publishing. You do a little bit of a research and run it then. Other question.
What are the minimum requirements to publish a book?
There are quality checks on, for instance, when you upload the cover, it wants you to align to certain requirements. Again, it's a product that they say it's printed by Amazon, so they want it to look good too. In terms of the design, there are requirements. As a novel, I don't think there is limitations in terms of page numbers, or I have not seen that, but it just wants, as Sabrina said, a PDF format of your manuscript to be uploaded, a good cover that fits into, because Amazon even gives you a template. So it says like how many pages your book is, and I say 400, and it says, okay, download this, because it actually lets the assigns the spine for that. So it kind of helps you to do certain quality things. And after, and I'd love to share this, as I said, this book has a developmental editor and a copy editor and a couple of friends who are really good with proofreading read it. And when we uploaded it, we missed an H in a daughter that Amazon picked up. And it was like quality issue. And we were like, what quality issue? And we spelled, I mean, this is that many people, because it's such a word that the human eyes and mind, which we somehow don't recognize that H is missing there. And I was like, what? After all these professional editors and really, really good, proofreader friends, and Amazon picked it up. So those type of things. But overall, set up a LLC, be your own publisher, have a manuscript, I suppose, is the requirement, and upload it.
That is part of the publishing process.
Oh.
I will say when I first published it, Amazon kind of does this thing where they like automate and put you, like she mentioned, they put you in like categories, like the genres. And for me, they had made a little mistake, and they had, since my name is Sabrina Weaver, they had merged me with another Sabrina Weaver that was writing on Amazon, but she wrote very poorly reviewed erotica. And that is not what my book was. And it wasn't, I didn't even pick up on it. I actually had like a distant family member tell my dad about it, who was like, hey, I don't think you are a Black woman in South Carolina that's writing erotica on Amazon. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so either. So it was a little bit difficult to like untangle it. And I think just little things like that. Like recently, I also had like a logistic issue where they weren't showing my paperback when it was searched. They were only showing the Kindle version. So I spent a long time looking at the pages and stuff. But for the most part, they do have easy to follow instructions going through the whole process.
Yeah, absolutely. Very sleek, actually, and user friendly. The most difficult part for me was for the first one, I just did not know whether people would like it or not. And that was hard. That was just like friends. I have friends. They apparently had a discussion at home, got stressed saying that what happens if we don't like it? And that is the case. And hence sometimes, going with the pen name could work. And, people, family, friends, if they don't like your book, and that may happen, how are you going to handle that? How are they going to say, that they don't like it, or would they lie? But it was more about what the readers will be thinking about it, because it's my first book, it's a debut, and it's a very, very, very vulnerable place to be. It's your words, it's your story. You actually feel very, that. So, but in terms of the process, no, it's a very sleek process.
In terms of the creative process, that was also the hardest part. I forgot about that aspect. I did have family members that didn't react super well to it, and I did cry quite a bit about this. But other than that, publishing wise, it's pretty streamlined. We should be reps for Amazon. We're really like plugging them here. Yeah, you guys should all self-publish on Amazon. Use our code.
Well, it's their success. They published they helped us to publish our books. So of course we're going to be talking about them. So yes. And again, there is no better time than now. So write that book, get that dream book and publish it. And if you want to get in touch, ask us. Seriously, yeah, that's on offer. Not only for November. Email us if there is anything specific that you want, maybe help, a little bit of a discussion. Please do. That's the reason we wanted to share our experience, the art of possible. It is very, very possible, and it's so lovely to be a published author, right?
Yes, it is a nice feeling.
Yeah. So. Okay.
I do believe you guys already heard this. If you did want to take down, her website is here at the bottom. It is gtlondonauthor.com. Yeah, write that real quickly. It's also on the bookmarks if you guys got a bookmark.
Yeah, grab a bookmark, please. And yes,
that's my Amazon thing. I think it's also on the book. But here are QR codes. This links straight to Gulcan's website and my Amazon page. And also Gulcan has a monthly newsletter going around right now. So if you scan the QR code and go to her website, the sign up for the newsletter is one of the first things that pop up. And you can sign up to receive updates, little sneak peeks perhaps of the second book number 2. I know you guys just got book number 1, but we're keeping the ball rolling here, and just get a glance into her process and her life.
Thank you. Yeah. I would love that. And also feedback, maybe I could be, I might share the cover template saying, what do you guys think? So yeah, let's keep in touch and continue the journey together.
Thank you.